It should be streaming now. We're 1 minute ahead, so just going to. You can see the comments on that comments thread as well, Smitha. You might be seeing that screen graph. Yeah.
Smitha.
Can you? Is there something called a live comment screen?
Private chat, live comments.
That's I'm talking about the live comments. Yeah, that's what.
Okay, cool. So will I see how many people have?
You can see it already. You can see the count already come up on the left.
I can't see that.
Okay. It could be.
I can't see that. Maybe you need to log in or something to see that, and I'm not logged in.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's mostly for the admin, perhaps. But I'm assuming something like that.
Okay.
So, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this session by BlumeClass. We're just waiting for more people to join in. So I've got Smitha here with me. I'll be introducing her to you shortly. My name is Jayadev. I'm the CEO and co-founder of BlumeClass. Very excited to have you all join us this evening. CEO and co-founder of all right.
I took a screenshot.
Yeah. I thought this was a better perspective, right?
Yeah.
That's correct. Nice. Folks who have just joined in, we're just getting the event started. Got Smitha here with me, waiting for a few more teachers to join in. There are folks who are pinging us saying they're just coming in. So we'll get going in a minute. I hope we are all settled in and staying safe. All right, I think we can get started. All right, Smitha, I'll just do a quick round of introductions and we'll take it from there. For those who have joined in just now, my name is Jayadev Gopalakrishnan. I am the CEO and co-founder of BlumeClass. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about BlumeClass as part of the session today. I have with me Smitha Pisupati, who is a STEM teacher, and she does a lot of interesting things and courses, and has been making a serious shift, just like a lot of you, to online teaching. And what we're doing is, over the last 1.5 months, ever since we launched, we have more than 500 plus teachers now on the BlumeClass platform. And one of the feedback points that we get is that for a lot of teachers, the whole journey is something new to them. This was thrust upon them, and so we are all in this together. And that's the first thing that we should understand. The transition could be a little challenging for people, even though once you get used to it, it's really simple. The transition could be a little challenging for those who have been completely in an offline medium so far. And so what we're doing at BlumeClass is we're starting this series called Online Teaching Journeys, in which we are inviting some of our teachers to come and share their experience on how they made the transition. Because a lot of you have questions on how do you decide the kind of courses that I can offer, how do you price a course, and most importantly, how do you market a course, right? And these are common challenges for many teachers. At BlumeClass, our goal is to make all of these things much more easier for you. hearing first-hand experiences of teachers will hopefully give you the confidence that that these are all common things that everybody is figuring out, and um, by sharing these experiences, we all learn from each other. With that background, we start the first online teaching journey session with Smitha Pisupati. I'm going to take a minute to introduce Smitha to all of you. There's a blurb that she has given, and I'm going to read that out. So, Smitha is the founder, Smitha Pisupati is the founder of Tinkarama. Through digital learning by making workshops, Smitha is giving kids a chance to create, unlearn, fail, and experience the joy of making something from the ground up. This could be light up greeting cards to making something fly. Her goal is to create a generation of innovators and makers who are equipped with the creative confidence to the best version of themselves. I really like that line, Smitha.
Thank you.
That's a really nice way to put it. Smitha has a master's from the IISc, the Indian Institute of Science here in Bangalore. 11 plus years of working in the semiconductor industry, building products both in India and the US. So one of the things that she has highlighted is that when she was in the USA, she was inspired by the whole maker movement there, and she experienced it firsthand by conducting hands-on workshops both in the Bay Area and Bangalore. And in a short stint, she has taught over 200 students and believes strongly that when a child learns something by making something, the learning is lifelong and the confidence gained is priceless. Again, great line, Smitha.
Thank you. I worked very hard on that. So thank you for that. Yeah.
So, and I have my personal experience with Smitha also has been, my daughter has taken classes with her, and she's a very caring teacher. And so, personal experience of having taken, at least through, my family who has taken classes with her, I've seen that, she's got a great way of handling classes. And I hope in today's session we'll be able to cover some of the questions on how you made the transition, Smitha. So what I'm going to do now is take a very quick, make a very quick introduction on BlumeClass and what we are doing, show you Smitha's page, and then we're going to start asking Smitha a lot of questions at the end, towards the end of the session, or you can start posting your questions as well. We'll take some of those questions that's come from the viewers, and Smitha, hopefully you can answer some of that as well. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to share my screen. All right. So for those who are new to BlumeClass, BlumeClass is the fastest and easiest way for teachers to offer live online classes. So the problem for many teachers going live today with online classes is that they're dealing with multiple tools. They use some tool like a Google Pay or some payment link to collect payments. They have to keep track of leads, enrollments, and batches. Some tool like Google Calendar to make sure that you have a track of the class dates. And most importantly, you have to remind your learners about class timings so that they don't miss the class, and you have to keep doing that over WhatsApp or SMS or any other messaging service that you use. And finally, you offer the live classes through either a platform like Zoom, or maybe it's free version which has a 40-minute limit. So most teachers going live are using at least 3 to 5 of these tools to manage this whole transition. What we do in BlumeClass is we provide all of this in one box. So whether it's having one link that you can share with your learners, where they can see all your courses, pay for it, join your classes, get alerts for all the classes, and the ability for you to send homework and messages. So that's the reason why we keep saying that using BlumeClass, all that you have to do is just share one link. You're seeing Smitha's page, a picture of that on the screen. And I'm actually going to show you how Smitha's teacher store looks today so that you get a sense of how BlumeClass works for teachers. This is Smitha's page. This is the one link that she has to share with her learners. So she doesn't have to send any other messages. All that she has to do is, if you want to join my course and you want to read about me, here is my BlumeClass link, bloomclass.com/Smitha. Please check it out when you have a chance. And you can do a bunch of things there. You can read about Smitha. You can send her a question if you want to ask her something. And you can see all the courses from Smitha listed beautifully under her profile. So all the courses that you offer online now gets consolidated under a beautiful teacher profile with your courses listed right under it. So that your learners, whether it's kids, adults, parents, all that they have to do is to come here, choose the course that's relevant for them, and click on it, and they land on the course page. The course page has details on the course. For example, this course from Smitha talks about 5 live classes for advanced Scratch programming, and that she will have up to 5 learners in a batch. You can read the details of the course. You don't have to do any to and fro WhatsApp messages because that's something that usually happens. Instead, all the details are available here. If a learner wants to send you a question, they can do that. And finally, when they decide to join for the course, they can see all the batches that's available. So if Smitha had multiple batches for this course, all those batches would be listed. You can also, the learner can also see the schedule of the classes. And finally, when they take a decision to join, all that they have to do is click on enroll and join the learner, enroll the learners into the class. There is no payment app required, nothing of that sort. If you are a parent who has multiple learners joining the same course, you can just click on add another learner and add their name, and that's it, right? You click on enroll, you get all the payment options that's possible. So I'm going to choose another name. This is a name which I've already chosen. So I'm going to call it Alan, right? And once you click on enroll, you get all the payment options that's available for that particular course. So whether it's UPI, whether it's credit card, debit card, all the payments that parents look for, it's available on that payment link, integrated with your enroll button. And you get your credit into your bank account within 3 business days. So that's pretty much how BlumeClass works for the teacher. Now, from a student standpoint, it makes it easier for them as well. All that they have to do is come to the learner's workspace. If you look at the learner's workspace, that's where all their action happens. You don't have to keep sharing Zoom links with them. All that they have to do is at the day of the class, we automatically send them alerts. They log into their workspace. They can see the timer, which talks about how many minutes are left for the class to start. And when it's time for the class, that becomes join. And everything related to the class is also available in the workspace. For instance, if you, the teacher, have sent the learner homework, it appears in the teacher's folder. And they can just download that assignment from the teacher's folder. If they want to send assignment back to you, they just have to upload it in the learner's folder. And it goes back to the teacher. And again, here, if they want to message the teacher, they just have to click on ask a question, which is a messaging tool. And the learner and the teacher can continue their conversation over email. So the student workspace is where they come to join a class, get assignments, send assignments, or do anything that they need to do related to the course that they've joined for. And all this happens for the teacher. It's controlled by the teacher from their teacher dashboard. The teacher dashboard is where they create new courses. Like, for example, what you're seeing on the screen is a course that I've sample course that I've created. All that you have to do is enter the details of the course, enter the fees, and click on continue. The course is published and it appears on your teacher store. Um, and all your upcoming classes, they appear on the teacher's page, on the teacher store, serially ordered, so that at the time of the class you will get an alert. You log into your teacher dashboard. What you see here, a start live session, turns red. You don't have to keep track of Zoom links. You just have to click on start live session and you enter your class, right? That's very quickly how BlumeClass works for teachers and learners. I'm going to dive straight back into the session now with Smitha. Smitha, sorry if I kept you waiting. I've just stopped sharing. This is just to give a context to all our teachers so that now when you talk about your journey, they can relate it to how a product like BlumeClass helps them as well. So
Right.
I'm going to dive straight in, Smitha, and I'm going to ask you to tell a little bit about yourself. I've already done a formal introduction, but maybe in your own words.
Okay. So it's lovely to be here. Hi, all of you. Thank you for taking time out and attending this fantastic session. And thank you for that introduction, even though it was my own words and then I sent you the blurb. But yeah, I'm passionate about making and creating and building things. I'm an electronics engineer by profession. But I also love to teach. So I started this journey of teaching, I would say, a long time ago, ever since I would say my brother joined school. So I had someone to teach, and then that kind of the love for teaching just continued. And even though I did my engineering and then I worked as a firmware engineer, I knew at some point of time I want to get back into teaching. And then because I love electronics and building things so much, I figured that's the best thing that I can teach kids. Like he said, I really got involved in the maker movement. So I found when I saw kids building things with their hands, the way their eyes light up when they actually get something to work, it's beautiful. And that's just basically what I want to do for the rest of my life: give them opportunities and guidance so they can build things, and then most importantly build creative confidence. So my journey with Tinkerama, I founded it about a year ago. I quit my job to do this full time, and I've been running offline workshops where kids come over to a space that I had created with all of the materials, and then we would basically build something and then create something out of nothing, so from scratch. And ever since the virus has come about, I've had to make the shift from offline to online, and I've really, BlumeClass has really helped me to do that. So that's my journey so far.
All right. So Smitha, just getting it. All right. Just checking, Smitha, is your voice audible? I'm just trying to make sure that, yeah. For a minute, I thought, yeah, we can. All right.
Yeah.
Sounds
okay.
good.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So, just doing a little more deep dive into that whole transition process, right? So, you were someone who was teaching offline. I know that you were conducting workshops, and these happened at multiple locations, right? And so, when the transition happened to moving your classes online, do you want to talk a little bit about how you decided what courses? Because some of your courses must have been very hands-on courses,
Yes.
which involved using tools and things like that, especially since it's a maker-related projects. But how did you sort of? What I'm trying to ask here is, how, as an online teacher, do you decide what kind of course mix works for you?
Okay. So
there's a bunch of courses listed on your page.
Yeah.
So I thought, how do you decide that?
So, like you said, about 95% of my courses that I run require hands-on making. They do require tools and materials, which may or may not be easy to find. So, yes, that is one of the challenges from moving offline to online. But I figured first thing, the most important thing is to actually just get online with whatever you have, rather than finding that perfect course with the perfect set of materials. So what I've done so far is take my programming courses online. So that was, just like low hanging fruit. You just need a computer and a good internet connection and, Zoom video, and then you're good to go. So that's one of the things that I took online. I also had to really look around the house and figure out what kind of materials do kids really have on their hands. And turns out you can do a lot with those too. So I've actually, after I've done surveys with kids to find out what they have, and then based on that, I've come up with activities, even though they're like really short ones, to keep them going. So basically, you just turn up, you put up courses and you're there, so people know that you are online and you are comfortable with doing online courses, and that you've done. So you want to build up that, hey, I have already done a month's worth of online courses. So that's where you want to get as soon as you can.
Understand. And I'm sure the same question applies to pricing, right? One of the questions that probably you had to think through was, how do you decide to put a price to a course, especially maybe the course had a certain price point offline. Did you just transfer the same pricing online, or how has that experience been?
So
Ask me that question about how do you figure out, what is the right price point?
Right. So pricing is tricky because the same things don't work like they worked offline. So there are various things that have changed so far. So from my experience, like I said, the first thing that you need to do is, if you're a teacher looking to go online, you want to have as many online classes under your belt as you can, as quickly as you can. So the way I did that first is I actually just offered free courses. So this was like an initial period, just when, just when the lockdown happened and everyone was at home, and they had to find ways to keep their kids busy. But obviously, for an hour and a half in a day, if you're going to charge, what you normally charge for offline, that's not really going to work out. So and again, it was, for me, it was all about establishing the fact that, I am a credible online teacher and I've done this before and I know how to handle kids even though they're online. And that is something, you have to kind of prove all over again, even though you're like, you've done this for maybe 10 years, 15 years offline, you're a pro at handling kids, but online being a totally different ball game. That was the first challenge that I wanted to solve. And so I spoke to all of my current students, the parents, and each one of them actually had different set of challenges that we kind of had to work around. And so long story short, I started with a few free classes, and then I started charging for the classes after that. Of course, not at 100%, but somewhere definitely above 50%, I would say. So start with somewhere closer to 60-65%, and then see if you can slowly, gradually increase it to meet your. So my goal finally is to match my offline pricing, but it has to be done gradually. Is what I feel.
That's a great point. And when you did that, one of the things that when we were chatting, you said that's been working for you is the whole idea of experimenting with courses through the Sunday club that you started. Of course, I think we can put this under the whole marketing bucket as well. So I understand you offer free classes on Sundays.
Yes, so that is one of the things. That is one of the things that I started with. Like you said, my goal was twofold. First is to make sure that I am online as much as I can be. So every Sunday, whatever happens at 12 o'clock, you will find me in an online Zoom classroom. And the second thing was marketing, which is basically, gathering as many students as possible and helping reach Tinkarama's goal of creative confidence to as many students as possible. So the way I'm doing that is every Sunday I started with a half an hour bite-sized session. Just give them a glimpse of what it looks like to attend an online class. Do it on a weekend. That was my plan. Do it on a weekend so that a parent actually has time to sit and kind of evaluate. I welcome parents to attend this class. If they are sitting alongside the child and building something, that is more than welcome, because then they get to see what their child is in for if they sign up for a course with me. So I do it every Sunday, and this is completely free. And I planned initially to do it only until lockdown, but it looks like the recovery to normalcy, whatever that may be, is going to be very gradual. I plan to continue doing this, and it really helps, because a half an hour on a Sunday is not much time for a parent or a child to put in to come see you and then work on something with you and build something with you. But the excitement that comes out of building that one thing, that translates into signups for new courses. So that's one of the things that has worked for me. So I'm going to keep that going.
All right. So I think what you're referring to is what we usually call as creating a top of the funnel and distribution system here, right? Which is
Right.
the core thing about give some classes for free. Like, you're consistently on Sundays, you're giving free classes. And, these are students who are consistently coming back for those classes. And you just spend half an hour for that, but they get a sense of how you teach, what's your teaching style. And then when you announce a paid course in the following week or weeks later, you have people from that free class signing up for your paid
Yeah.
classes. And
Yes, definitely. So again, one of the things, yeah, I disappeared, but like I said, one of the things that we need to establish here, which is brand new, is the comfort of the teacher in an online setting, because nobody has ever seen that. Frankly, we've never done it either, right? We're doing this for the first time, and we're having to do it.
yeah,
So parents may feel like you're just doing it because you're pushed into it, but
yeah,
basically establishing that credibility is what matters. And doing online classes or video recordings or something to prove that you are online and you're comfortable and you're able to track the children's progress, I think that goes a long way.
understand. Um, you know, One of the things that you said is you have been able to successfully move all your offline students who were learning with you earlier in your workshops and other classes. You have been able to shift them all uh, almost 100% from what I understand to your online classes. Is there anything specifically apart from all these things that you said that worked for you? Do you want to highlight something that might be of help for other teachers? Because I think a lot of teachers are also trying to do that, which is how do you have learners who probably
Sure.
were paying you for an offline class? How do you sort of make the
Right.
transition to moving them online?
Yes. So thankfully, a very good number of my offline students have come online with me, and I would say one of the reasons that they are coming online is, first, the content that I am creating and the courses that I'm offering are exciting. So that has to be one of the key factors. The second is their personal rapport or comfort level with me. So we did have time to build that up over a few months, because I had started regular online maker courses called the Young Edison series, and I had started this in January offline. And I had a good number of students kind of coming in and building something of their own every month. So every month I took up a new activity. So they were kind of comfortable with that premise as well. So when I said, hey, I know you're stuck at home, I know I'm stuck at home, but why don't we just take this, online, where I'm available for you, and then we can build something together. So they really picked up on that idea. Now, having said that, of course, there were a few students that had very legitimate concerns and reasons why they could or could not join up, and those are really the ones that you should be asking. reaching out to and asking and figuring out what their pain points are, and see if you can really resolve those. And I think BlumeClass does help both the teacher and the learner, in the sense that because it's just one platform that you have to kind of log in, and then you have these classes already set up for you and you just have to click join. That makes it easier, even from parents perspective, to kind of hand their laptop to the kid, saying, okay, use it for an hour and a half, because that itself is a big step, if you ask me.
Understand.
Yeah.
Can you just take us through how you plan for a class?
Sure. So first, of course, first and foremost, you want to have your content ready. Whatever content I would do, say in 4 hours offline, one of the important things is that I have kind of increased it by 50%, which sounds like a lot, but remember, this is the phase where we are getting used to each other in an online setting. So if I did the course in 4 hours, for the online class, I do set it up for 6 hours. I also keep myself free for a gap day, because things do happen where you may have to end up, logging in for a 7th hour to make sure that all of your kids have, received the knowledge that you are imparting, right? So that's the second step. You have the content ready. You decide how long it's going to take. You multiply that by 1.5, and then you have now the batches that you want to create, and then for BlumeClass, it's really easy, because all, like he showed you, you just have to go into that page and then you have to create your course up. And then it really guides you through a lot of the inputs that it takes from you. It gets you thinking, like, how many learners can you handle online at a time? How long do you want each session to be? So all of these really got me thinking. Students haven't, we spend all of the initial years of our kids keeping them away from screens, and then suddenly you want them to sit in front of the screen for the all day. That's not going to happen. So where I used to run 2-hour sessions offline, because at the end of you can't break the kids off of a making activity in less than 2 hours. It just breaks with their flow. But that's not true of online. I've had to adapt that to not more than 1 hour at a time. So more than an hour, kids start getting antsy, and you start losing their focus, and you can actually see that on the little windows. So I've had to change that. But once I set up the course, I decide my calendar. This is the week that it's going to run for. So far, I have been running classes on BlumeClass as if they were summer camps, because this is kind of the summer holidays. So I start them on Monday and I end them on Friday, and I will continue doing that until I know for sure that schools have reopened, either in online or offline format. So I set that class up, and then I reach out to my students, ask them to enroll, and once they enroll, I do send them a message about what they need to have ready in terms of materials. I get them set up on that. I do message the parents saying, please ensure that the kid is in a room where he or she is not disturbed and has a good internet connection for the duration of the class. Make sure you have a charger. Oh my God, I've had so many cases where the power of the laptop just dies, and then they lose about 5-10 minutes of the class. So these are the kind of problems that you have to anticipate and be upfront and communicative about when you're setting up a course. And also follow-up reminders, which BlumeClass does so well. That is something that I would have had to do on my own once I set it up, saying, hey, class is at 4, hey, class is at 4, hey, class is at 4, as many times as you can, so they actually turn up. Yeah. So, but it's been interesting. It's been really interesting moving on that.
So one of the other things that you mentioned was how not to assume that even if you have a great internet connection at home, that I think what we're trying to say is to have some empathy for learners on the other side, that not all of them might have a great internet connection at home, and some of the learners might be going through a challenge in I would say, staying up to speed with the class, the pace of the class, so on and so forth. So I really like the point that you mentioned about how you sort of start your classes a little early, so as to provide some time for learners who might need some extra help before the
Yes,
classes start, right?
definitely.
So
So
if you could touch upon how you maybe, I think you've already covered this in the last question, but
right,
if you could talk a little more about how you uh, go through a session, right? For
right.
example, uh, what's the typical Tinkarama class like in an online setting? Very briefly.
So if the class is at 4 o'clock, I do log in 10 minutes in advance. That is first to ensure that my internet connection is solid and I have no tech difficulties. I set up everything around me and I am online at 3:50 for a 4 o'clock class. That gives 10 whole minutes for me to address any of the concerns that either parents or kids have. I also make sure all of the students know that I'm available 10 minutes in advance, because there are shy kids. Even though they're online, they're still shy. Even though they're the only one on their screen, they're still shy. So you want to give them that time ahead of the class to be the
Yeah.
one to log in and ask any question that they have. I do also give them an option where I hang back, although usually this is not possible all the time. But if I see that there is a genuine need, I do hang back beyond the class ending time, so that I'm available for kids to ask their questions. And this does happen. This has happened to me a few times where the child, even though they're able to pick up quickly, they lose internet connection, and then that's 10 minutes gone there, and then they have to catch up, which means you do have to give them that 10 minutes after class. So in this case, like Jayadev was saying, if you have a free Zoom session that gives you that 40-minute limit, that I knew going, from day one, I knew that this is not something that is going to work for me. I'm going to need to give my students as much time as they need to get comfortable with learning online with me. So a little bit of time before, a little bit of time later. I also follow up if the child loses internet connection during the session. I do keep my phone right next to me, and then I message the parents saying, "Hey, the kid seems to be having tech difficulties. Could you go check on them?" And the parents are usually busy, right? They're on their job, they're on their own Zoom calls or whatever. So you want to let them know that, if you can help out, please get the child back into class with me. Yeah. So these are all the extra things that you probably wouldn't have to do, but now you have to. So
and 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 also, for instance, when people run into a bad internet connection, which often would happen,
yeah,
um, I think getting used to things like maybe you have to turn off the video for some time, um,
right.
request
Yeah,
the child to do that so that the bandwidth at least stabilizes. And sometimes this might
right.
sound like a very simple thing to do, but people often forget to communicate that, and maybe assume that the other person knows that's the natural thing to do, and
Right.
but it makes a big difference, right? For example, I
It makes
think,
a big difference. So if your bandwidth is this much, guys, the video is taking up this much, and the audio is just like a minuscule thing that runs. So if you are ever facing tech difficulties where a child cannot hear you, or you are not able to hear them, or the voice is breaking up, you can always request everyone to just turn off their video, and make sure that the audio communication is real time and just stays that way, so that the kids are again still comfortable. And then maybe after like a 5-minute period, you can be like, "Hey, one of you turn on your video again, let's see if the bandwidth holds." And yeah, this is something you have to play by the ear, but I have done that. I have turned off my video. I'm like, "Hey guys, I'm going dark for a little while, but you can hear me, and if you have any question and you want to see my face, you can always request for me to turn on my video again, and I will do that." So that has also helped in the cases, because yeah, everyone does not have a high speed internet. Even if they do, if your class is happening on a weekday, you can be sure there are two Zoom calls happening, one for mom, one for dad, and then this is the third one adding to the bandwidth. So you have to be kind of and yours is the lowest priority Zoom call in the house. Let's be clear about that. So we have to be sensitive to that issue, and then kind of use different ways to follow up and make sure the kid is comfortable.
understood.
Yeah.
um, so I think we're probably coming to the last couple of questions here.
Yeah.
Is there any you have covered a lot of points about what to look for in a class, and the kind of things to be watchful about. Are there any tips that you have for new online teachers who are making the shift? I mean, is there some key learning that you want to highlight, uh, which you think which could be handy for them?
Right. So, if you are new to online, if you have taught offline before and you're trying to find a way to go online, the first thing that I would say is just get online. Just don't wait for the perfect course or the perfect batch or the perfect number of students.
Good
Just get
point. Yeah.
online. Because your comfort with the platform will show when you turn up in a live online class. And the only way to get that comfort is to just do them, right? So my initial classes were one or two students and me, and just online, and then I would do all of these extra Zoom talks that I could, just to make sure I'm comfortable online. That's what I want to prove to myself initially. That's the first thing. Second thing, like I said, set yourself up for success. Take the course that you are the best at or the most confident with. Give yourself enough time. Do not you know online the time just stretches for reasons that you will not be able to anticipate. So give yourself that extra time. Do not set yourself up for 4 hours. Like I said, my online 4 hour classes online run for 6 hours. And it's fine if you finish early. You can always engage the students better. But if you do encounter difficulties, the 6 hour thing will really help you. So I think that's two of the main things that I would say. Set yourself up for success and just get out there. Just set up courses.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and it's something which I often tell new online teachers, that there is no perfect course, there is no perfect pricing mechanism, there is no perfect marketing strategy. I think the first thing is just to get a few students and to just start teaching online, because as we all know, this is a skill that we'll have to develop really well, and there's a long it's just starting and you have such a long way to go. And
Yeah.
so the most important thing is to just get familiar with the medium. You don't have to worry about some issues that you might run into in the first few classes. That's all part of the game. Everyone goes through that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I completely agree with what you said, that there is no perfect situation here
Right.
to to get started, right? Um, I think what you're saying here, if I were to summarize a few of the points, is um, it's that you have to have empathy for both, for the learners, and for example, if you're dealing with kids, their parents, and therefore develop that sort of understanding of how to sort of manage your class expectations, how to make sure that you're being communicative. Things like internet sometimes conking off, but still staying there and just maybe calling the parent and asking them to um, ask the child to join back. Maybe the parent is not aware about it. And I think all these things that you talked about is a part of the natural transition that thousands, or rather millions of learners and parents are going through in India. And the way for a teacher to stand out, I guess, would be, apart from the quality of the course and the quality of the teacher, is all these soft elements that add uh, to that whole process, right? So great points, Smita, and I
Thank
completely
you.
understand where you're coming from. Um, so how do you sort of do things, that other things that are important for your teaching experience, right? I mean, the fact that you might have to send assignments
Right.
or files which are required by the learners. I know a lot of people struggle with Google Docs and Dropbox and multiple things flying around.
Yeah.
Um, I'm assuming you're using BlumeClass for that, but do you want to talk about how do you do that?
Yeah, so I used to do that. I really like finding a lot of material for my kids as food for thought. So I did used to either send them Google Docs or email attachments or whatever it is. But there are so many issues there. The email belongs to the parent, and the kid may or may not see it, or the kid will only see it on the weekend when the parent checks their email. There's so many such things. that's actually one of the things that I want to highlight that BlumeClass really solved for me.
Yeah,
Is
maybe
Yeah.
we can just take a minute about how you use BlumeClass and how BlumeClass has been helping you in this journey. Maybe, yeah.
So BlumeClass actually has been a blessing that has come at the right time. So there are all of these aspects to creating a class, its content, the kind of worksheets you want to set up along with those. Then after that, getting doing your marketing, getting the word out there, talking to parents who have questions, and then solving all of those, and then getting your kids to enroll. After they enroll, tracking the payments, that itself used to take me like a day, where I would be like, this GPay is like that kid, and that it would, yeah, it was a whole mess.
Or another
And
payment from Paytm or something on the
yeah,
side.
some would pay through Paytm, and some would pay, way in advance, and some would pay on the second day, because I don't know why people do that, but they do. They want you, to pay after the first class is done. So
Yeah.
there are all kinds of payments things that happen.
Yeah.
So that itself used to be a big mess. And over and above that, the communication with the students regarding the files and the homework and any kind of alerts I want to send them, all that used to, be all scattered all about. But BlumeClass has been really helpful in tying all of that together. Mostly the payments for me, it has really streamlined that for me, and I just don't have to worry about it. I have to put a course up there, share the link, and be done, and the money comes into my account, and I can't tell you how great that is. Having
Glad to
not
hear
having
that.
stress about that itself has freed up a lot of my time, and that is the time that I use into making sure that my content is going to work online in a Zoom setup with children. So I feel like BlumeClass is already setting me up for success by just doing that. And they're added in the file sharing, which means all of the files related to one class are in one place for a student. And I think that is really good, because you do tend to, even if you, when you have notebooks in school, you have one science notebook and one math notebook, right? So BlumeClass does that for you. All of your the notes related to one class are in one place, rather than four different emails sent on four different days, and that's hard to track for the learners, and that also helps. So basically what they're doing is they're taking care of all of the stuff around, which took away your time and took away your energy, and then allow you to kind of focus on what you do best, which is teaching and putting great quality content out there. So that's how BlumeClass has been very helpful for me, and I'm going to keep using it. So yeah.
Glad to hear that, Smitha.
Yeah.
I'm going to, take some questions which have come up in the comments
Sure.
feed. Just going to go through that. Uh, so, folks, if you have more questions, please share it in the comments box. We'll use some time to address common questions. I think Smitha has covered a lot of ground with her own online teaching journey. Everybody's journey is personal. They have, depending upon the course they teach and depending upon the segment that they're dealing with. But there's a lot of common takeaways, as you might have, heard from this session on how to handle classes, how to price your course. She was talking about how there is no formula there. It's mostly you figuring it out. She suggested that you can start with perhaps 50 to 60% of your offline course fees, and then you figure it out. But the end objective that she's trying to achieve, at least from her perspective, is to finally get that to her offline pricing itself. She also talked about having a lot of empathy. That's a point that kept was repeated several times. For example, how she starts the class a little early to make sure that learners who need some extra help, they know that she's available 10 minutes before the class. And another great point was how to plan for online classes, considering the sort of planning that goes into online class is slightly different from an offline class. You might have to factor in a little more time both before and after the class. And so, great points. And do you have, if you have any other questions, please do ask it in the comments. I see a couple of questions here, which I'm just going to ask. One was when you started, Smitha, did you have students already, or did you start with none? That's the question that Abigail has for you.
That's a good question, Abigail. So luckily, I have started Tinkerama and workshops and summer camps, etc., about 2 years before. So I did have all of this offline workshops and stuff that I had done. So I had students from there. So I started my online with reaching out to them, because they are the people who are most comfortable with me. They have seen how I teach and they have appreciated it, and those are the people that are most likely to come online. The new students, yes, you will have to do a bit of marketing to reach them, and this marketing is going to have to be a little bit different from what you would have done probably earlier when your classes were offline.
And I guess that's what you were referring to earlier as doing the free STEM clubs on Sundays.
Right.
And
So
also
basically, put yourself in
your
front of, yeah. So put yourself in front of the parents and students as best as you can. So you have these sessions where you do something else which may not be your curriculum, but at least it gets you face to face with new students. Get to know them, do interactive. So I also did this free interactive session for Arduino once, which was an hour long, where we just discussed fantastic Arduino projects that all of us like to do. So I showcased some of the projects that I had made, and and kids also had a chance to show off their projects. And kids had made these fantastic Roomba type, robots at home with the Arduinos that they had. I'm talking 12-year-old kids, guys. So it's really amazing to, just reach out to these students and understand what they're doing. This is not a course that I was running. This was just an interactive, just a platform for everyone to get together and be online. But that is your chance as a teacher to show that you are comfortable with the platform, talking to children, getting them, out of their shells, and then getting them to interact more. That is what you get to showcase in these kind of sessions, and that is what will win you. I think will win you new customers.
and I guess you also mentioned about how you can use the existing customer base to drive referrals and
Right.
uh,
Right.
from
Yes.
that base as well. And I
Yeah.
think there is a YouTube channel that you're planning to start, which is on the
Yeah.
anvil.
Yes, so Jayadev has been telling me that YouTube is the way to go for me, and I agree with him, because I think most of my students, the age group, kind of spends their time on YouTube, and they spend their time on YouTube in activities very similar to what I have to offer. So mine is STEAM based. There's science, technology, engineering, art, and math. So I made my foray into art as well. So I do that, and looks like a lot of them spend their time doing arts and crafts through online YouTube sessions. So that's one more thing that I definitely have to do to get, like he said, the top of the funnel, to get as many people as possible to see your YouTube videos, so that at least a small fraction of them show interest, turn up in your free class, and then maybe even sign up for a course. It's going to be a long, in terms of time, it's going to take a long time. But the every day that you don't start, it gets delayed by another day. Those are his wise words, not mine. So,
I think one of the things that I typically share, just to add to that point, is what teachers making the transition now need to realize is that they're actually making the most important investment in their future, because in the next decade, you're going to see majority of classes online, and that shift has just got accelerated. And so
yeah,
every step that you take in doing two things: one is becoming familiar with the online environment, and becoming second nature to you, and the second thing being building your own reputation and digital identity, right? Because we strongly believe in BlumeClass that every teacher needs to have their own profile that they can share, uh,
right.
sort of like your Facebook profile or your um, LinkedIn profile, whatever other social profiles that you may use for your personal or your professional life. You need to have something that talks about you, the teacher, all your courses, so that that becomes the digital calling card for you because you are an online teacher, right?
Yeah.
And one of the goals that we have is to keep giving more tools. I don't want to dwell on that, but just to quickly give you and the others watching this live stream some perspective. Our goal is to keep investing in tools that make this digital identity richer and with much more possibilities as we go down this road. Um, so yeah, so great points, Smitha. I think a lot of people would have, everyone would have had their own learnings, depending upon what their specific focus areas would have been from this session. And I think I wish you all the very best in what Tinkarama is doing, and
Thank you.
that sort of brings us to the end of the session today. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us and helping us understand your journey. So, folks who are watching, I think one thing we need to all understand as teachers is we can all help each other. Uh, I'm just going to show uh, Smitha's store page again. This is her store page, bloomclass.com/Smitha. So if you have people asking you about STEM courses, coding courses, and all that, you should definitely refer bloomclass.com/Smitha. Lets others know about the courses that she offers. All you have to do is share the link, and all the. I believe the teacher fraternity helping each other out is the way by which this community gets built. Um,
So I
Thank
do
you so
fun,
much.
just 1 second. I do fun, exciting, challenging courses through hands-on making for science, technology, engineering, art, and math. So I throw in the concepts after the kids have built something, and that's the way I run my class. And I do these for all kids ages 6+. So you're free to attend as an adult as well because it's just 6+. So yeah, I do coding, Python, Scratch, Arduino, Raspberry Pi, as well as electronics, mechanics, basics, and paper circuits as well. So uh, yeah, keep me in mind next time you want a STEM class.
Very quick question around that, and we didn't cover that. I just remembered. How many kids do you typically have in a batch? I think less than 10. Is that what you?
Yes, so I'm slowly building up towards 10. I think my ideal number would be 10 is what I would like to handle. I did not start out with 10 though. When I started out, I put less than 5 as you showed on one of the screens that you shared with us earlier. I purposely kept it less than 5 because that was a period where
When
I
you
was
were
getting
figuring out?
comfortable with teaching online. So again, set yourself up for success. If you think you can do only 3, please do only 3. If you think you can do 5, do 5. Now I'm confident that I can do 10, so I will be going to 10. But I don't think in an online setting I will go for more than that. Although I have to say my Sunday STEM sessions, which are my free sessions, kind of tend to run into 20s and 30s, and I've done online classes for 100 students as well. So it's a totally different ball game when you do it that way. But that's the kind of numbers you should be looking at if it's a marketing event for you, and when it's an actual paid course, you want to keep the numbers small.
Got it. Understand. Smita, this was a great session. Thank you so much. Don't go. I'm just going to end the session by just giving a quick conclusion, a couple of concluding remarks here. But thank you once again for taking the time, and all the very best once again to Tinkarama and all the fantastic work that you're doing. Um, so the folks who are watching the this live stream, if you are a teacher who's already on BlumeClass, and if you need any help, please send us an email at support@bloomclass.com, or you could even call us at our support number. It's there on our site, or you can I'm just going to type it out here. It's 99452 You can call this number. Uh, if you are a new teacher who's watching this live stream and you're hearing about BlumeClass for the 1st time, uh, just a very quick overview. You deal with most teachers who are going online today deal with multiple tools. We give you all those tools with payments, auto alerts, and the ability to teach live via Zoom Premium. All of that in one single box, so that you don't have to worry about multiple tools. You can just focus on your teaching. All that you have to do is share just one link, like bloomclass.com/Smitha, and all your enrollments, course details, everything is in one single place, right? So if you want help, it's super simple to go and create your own store. You don't need anyone's help. But if you think you need some assistance, we are happy to help you out. There is a link which we have shared at the bottom of the comments. It's a type form link. Enter your details. Someone from our team will call you and get in touch with you so that you can be onboarded. We'll help you move your course online very fast so that you can get started easily. Uh, we're used by over 500 teachers in just 1 month. And the simplest way for you to understand is, if you're teaching live online classes, we are the fastest and easiest way to offer those classes, right? That's the key takeaway from what BlumeClass offers. So thanks once again for joining us. Our goal is to feature more such awesome teachers like Smitha, and who can come and talk about their journeys. Hopefully, we can feature one of you in these days ahead, as well as you keep building your online teaching journey. Do like our Facebook page to make sure that when we come up with a new event, you receive an alert. So thanks once again, and all the very best in your own online teaching journey.
Hey Jayadev, can I share my information as well in the? Oh,
Sure.
I don't know if I can chat.
Yeah,
So
you
if
can. You can. You can share that.
I am at Tinkerama BLR on Facebook.
All right.
And you can like my page. I'm on Instagram as well, Facebook and
Sure.
Instagram.
Yeah.
My YouTube is coming, but at Tinkerama, TINKERAMABLR.
That's
So
your Facebook page, right? At
that's my
Tikarama.
Facebook page. Yes. So all as of now, all of my classes are on BlumeClass. So if you go to bloomclass.com/Smitha, you will see me there. But do also follow me on Facebook or Instagram
Yeah,
for
absolutely. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not
All right.
Tinkerama, Tinkerama PLR. So it's
Okay.
not.
All right. I'm just going to.
Yeah. Can you just
Yeah, I am going to correct it.
correct it.
It's
Yeah, I couldn't get the at Tinkerama, but I got the Tinkerama.
Tikarama BLR, right?
BLR for Bangalore. Yeah, BLR.
Yeah. I got it. Done.
Yeah, there. That's the right one.
All right. All right.
All right. Thank you so
Thanks
much for giving me this opportunity to speak to everyone. Yeah.
Thanks so much, and have a great weekend.
Yeah, you too. Bye bye. Bye, all of you.